with that e-commerce theme, it's not just all about Alibaba. There are other players in the market, including a Singapore homegrown Q10 that was acquired by the Koreans. And they've been seeing strong growth in the past few years. Now, it says sales jumped about 23% last year. I caught up recently with the company's Singapore country manager, who told us about how mobile phones are certainly changing the name of the game.
The growth of the mobile commerce has been actually attracting a lot of buyers first, and then they need more to buy and shop around in from the platform that like us. So we are kind of getting a lot more of the merchant in the market, so who has been in the brick and mortar quite a long time, but who needs that kind of digitization and then the migration to the e-commerce. So that's our key strategy for the coming years.
When you look at the e-commerce landscape, it's dominated globally by the big players like Alibaba and JD.com and also to some extent Lazada. Having scale, how important is that? And is there space for the smaller players to exist in the e-commerce ecosystem?
So I mean, if you look at the, let's say for example, as a Korean market, that has been driven by the local players because the players are there. But in Singapore case, there has not been dominant players. I mean, up till 2008 or 9, then Q10 came into the market, so has been offering that kind of local selections to the customers. So now that the transaction patterns has been changing from the cross-border to the local transactions.
Okay, so but if you look at examples, not every foreign company that tries to penetrate the domestic market can work. I mean, in cases like Rakuten that had to pull back. So, how do you separate yourselves from cases like that to ensure that you can strive and survive in the e-commerce market?
So e-commerce is like, in a way, very expensive business. It requires a lot of investment in terms of the marketing and the platform and the customer acquisitions. So many companies, when they just come to the market just because of the size of the market, but they realize that how difficult it is, how expensive it is, so they pull out. It might be the typical case of the Rakuten. But Q10-wise, what we do is that we focus on the growth in a sustainable, profit level. So with that strategy, we have been kind of growing in a very good pace.
All right, speaking of the Singapore market, the government just unveiled its latest budget not too long ago. And one of the key priorities is to assess small and medium-sized enterprises in the digitalization process to faster innovate and grow their businesses and also to scale up in the international global community. And they've set aside a fairly sizable sum of some $600 million in order to achieve that. How do these initiatives impact a company, a homegrown company like Q10 that started here in Singapore?
So this is a very timely measures done by the government, in my view, because like I said, only that 2% or 3% of the total retail market is transacted through the e-commerce platforms. So now it's good timing for a brick and mortar traditional business move on to the e-commerce. But the thing is that they don't have the skill set that is required for the e-commerce operations. So with this government, the backup and fund and then the programs, then that will be expediting their kind of a movement toward this e-commerce. And together with the market changes, this is definitely the good measures that can the brick and mortar and the SMEs can use.
We are off for a quick break on the program, folks. Next up on Asia Business First, it's a dawn.